Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. Your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today, the internet wrestling community is in an absolute war. And that is because The Rock has come back to WWE. And Cody Rhodes isn't finishing his story. Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble, but isn't finishing his story. Oh, I feel like this episode is going to be a bit of a controversial one for sure. I have some things to say about it. To both sides, actually, not just the anti-whatever went down, but I have some things to say about the people who are overreacting right now online as well. But before I get into all of that, let me introduce the panel and let me kick things off by introducing the co-host of the show, he was meant to have a day off today, but he's decided to join us because he's this fired up for it. Clark, how are you?
I am so stoked to be here after last night's shocking news. I've got to let you guys know I feel shocked, and I'm excited to talk about it today. It's going to be a fun show. Been a lot of fodder about the Cody and Rock and Reigns stuff all day long, all night long, all month long, really. This is going to last a while. I can't wait to talk about it today, man. I'm stoked to be here.
Absolutely. No, I am as well, no doubt about it. But also joining us, we have somebody who I know isn't too happy about this, and that is the AEW reviewer here at Wrestling Republic, David Sheldon. David, how are you?
Hello, everybody. I was meant to be on Voice Rest. I've got a show on Wednesday, but I couldn't help it. I thought it'd be a nice, easy SmackDown. Shouldn't be any. And then, oh dear. I've just started writing an article for Wrestling Republic, a deep dive into the bloodline and where I think the bloodline's gone wrong. Thank you, WWE, for just giving me a massive extra chapter in that article. We will get to it when we do, but let's get on with the show.
Absolutely. No, we're gonna just have to get on with it, aren't we? Also joining us, last but certainly not least, it's the man who I'm sure has some stuff to say. That's Soul. How are you, Soul?
Oh, adrenaline in my soul. What a dafty Cody Rhodes. Let's get to it.
What?
Clip that. Just clip that. That's the whole review. And to be honest,
that's the show. Done. We're sorted.
A few words. What I would take 10 minutes to say. So, just leave it there.
I mean, fair enough. I mean, let's just.
It happened.
I was about going a big rant, and I'm just being completely and utterly thrown off now. So that was gold. But and also to make things worse, Instagram seems to be having issues streaming us again. Honestly, Instagram can't finish its live videos. Cody can't finish his story. I can't finish my sentences clearly. It's just all a nightmare. It's chaos.
I can't stop laughing.
You can't finish your laughter.
I can't. Yeah, speaking of stories being finished, oh, goodness gracious sakes alive.
We got a couple of comments. We got Kobe saying this is Wrestling Republic. Shout out Chaos. Bobby Petito saying hello, guys. Hello to you, Bobby.
Bobby.
Without further ado, we're jumping into this, right? I feel bad for Cody Rhodes. Like, that is fundamentally the biggest thing here. I feel bad for Cody. He won the Rumble, right? And I've been saying for months that whoever faces Roman Reigns at WrestleMania is going to lose. Because no way, absolutely no way are WWE going to switch up their champion when they're moving from cable TV to streaming. And then people say, well, Reigns is on SmackDown. He'll be moving to Raw because that'll be the new A show again, right? They're going to have reliability. They need reliability. They're going to have the biggest star moving over there with the championship, so they make sure they don't lose any viewers. That is what's going to happen, and then shortly thereafter, Reigns will lose the title. But I've been saying it for months, and I said that's why I didn't want Cody to win the Royal Rumble, because if he did, he was going to lose. And hey, obviously that's not happening now. The way it's happened is absolutely ridiculous, right? It just it makes Cody look like an idiot. It makes you wonder, well, where'd you go from here? I don't know, because Cody Rhodes obviously has won the Royal Rumble now. He's probably going to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania instead. Well, if he's going to be the one to beat Reigns, then he's either going to have to win the world title and lose it quite quickly, or, do a title versus title match and merge them again, which is even more stupid. And then to make matters stupider, the only other alternative is doing a DQ at WrestleMania, which I'd then be very much complaining. But here's my big rant, guys. The internet is overreacting about this. This is the biggest overreaction I have seen since, starting Wrestling Republic in 2016. And there's been so many moments over the years where people are like, oh, I'm going to stop watching. This is ridiculous. And guess what? They're hardcore fans, so they don't stop watching. It's the casuals who stop watching. And guess what? The Rock brings in casual viewers. If you have the opportunity to do Rock versus Cody, so Rock versus Roman, you do it 10 times out of 10. Why? Because it's the money match. But what should you also do? You should have it confirmed before the Royal Rumble. Because now Cody looks like an idiot. And, I mean,
Mint
people
green
are saying
suit
as
too.
well.
Weird choice.
I mean, yeah, that's... we're not getting into his dress code right now. But here's the thing as well. People are saying, oh, the roster will be so annoyed about this. Everybody back there will be like, well, this could happen to me. Oh, no. I'm telling you, if you're in that locker room and you're, thinking that this is all bad right now, you are an absolute idiot. And I don't believe anybody in that locker room is an idiot. So I don't think anybody is saying that, despite what the dirtiest dirt sheets might be saying, right? Because the Rock is on at WrestleMania. He is on WrestleMania, which means if you are on at WrestleMania, you're also going to get way more eyes on you than you would have done otherwise. It is a huge win for your career. Your stock is going to go up. The TKO stock is going to go up. From a business standpoint, this is, excellent. The issue is, from a Cody standpoint, this makes him look like an absolute fool. Then it's like, well, who's going to beat Roman? If it is still going to be Cody, then well, when are we going to do that? Clark suggested MSG. That makes so much sense. What doesn't make sense is how on earth you get him from a world title match to MSG without him making him look weak or merging the titles. That's when it all gets muddy. It's confusing. I want to see what some of the comments are saying here. Somebody said, Hot Dog Zombie 138 says, you don't remember the Yes movement. We were annoyed then. I mean, that's true, right? And they changed it then. But guess what? The viewership didn't go down, did it? The viewership didn't go down when Daniel Bryan didn't win the Rumble. No, it didn't. In fact, it went up. So then, whatever. It obviously should have happened. Daniel Bryan should have won. That was the right time. And even now, from a creative standpoint, from an entertainment standpoint, I think Cody should have beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But like I said, from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense for Roman Reigns to lose the title until they move to Netflix in early 2025. But, I mean, somebody's saying, what if Cody pulls a Hulk Hogan? I mean, people are
Hogan
over.
Hogan on Yoko?
I mean, Jaden777777777 is saying, why are people complaining Rock versus Roman is bigger than Cody? And some people are saying, oh, they're wasting this, 2-year-long story about Cody finishing the story. Well, guess what? The Rock story of Roman Reigns has lasted over a decade. That's when they first had Rock and Roman in the same ring in, I think it was 2015, so just under a decade. But now they've been building it for the last year. Roman Reigns has been, annoying the elders, as they've been saying. They've been building to this, right? It makes sense. It's actually bigger than Cody finishing the story. Cody finishing the story is a Cody Rhodes storyline. The Bloodline storyline is a family storyline. And, I mean, Cody Rhodes' own theme says, in wrestling there's more than one royal family. Well, Roman Reigns' family is certainly a royal family within wrestling, and it's the biggest storyline at the end of the day. What I'm not happy about is how it's gone down, And, where do we go from here with Cody? And Cody, says, what do you want to talk about? What I want to talk about is how you're going to recover from this, because you've been chucked in the deep end. I feel bad for him. The Rock said something in his ear. Cody started laughing at first, and then he just looked a bit miserable about like, yeah, whatever. Well, I guess we'll never know what was said, but Cody did not look too happy, but he went out there, he delivered a great promo, he did his work brilliantly. He's going to finish the story, he is, but it's whether or not he finishes Roman Reigns' story, or it's the next champion he beats. When I think we can all agree that Cody beating Roman Reigns, I mean, that would have been, a very, very nice storyline that I think would have been a feel-good moment for professional wrestling. But Clark, give me your take on this one.
Yeah, you know me. If you followed the last year, the page, I've had some controversial Cody takes, to say the least. I had one real quickly right after the Rumble that, it bugged a lot of people, but it did a lot of views, so that was fun. But at the same time, I felt like he wasn't telling the story anyway. And in the 5 minutes it took him to introduce The Rock back to the picture, he told more of the story than he has since WrestleMania 39.
That's true.
That's right. He told more of the story in the 5 minutes it took him to introduce The Rock than he has in the last 9 months. Other than that, I do feel a little bad for him, but I don't know. World Championship match against Seth Rollins. Are we overreacting and calling that a consolation prize? Because it's still pretty good. Is it the way we all would have done it, creatively speaking? No, come on, no. Right? Like, logically, it doesn't make sense for him to have won the Rumble. He's 3-0 against the now heel Seth Rollins that he'll be taking on, but injuries happen, cards subject to change. And here we are. And we got one of the biggest movie stars in the world, an all-time great Hall of Fame caliber legend in The Rock, against Roman Reigns, and they have family ties? What are we talking about here? What are we doing? This is awesome. It was awesome. Anytime you hear "if you smell" and you get The Rock back with that look in his eye, in shape, across the ring from the top guy in the WWE, and we're throwing a fit about it? Like, what? What is wrong with that? Sometimes you have to call an audible. And given all the injuries and changes that are having to be made to this card at Mania, CM Punk's hurt, Rollins is hurt. That's a little different. Familiarity with Cody Rhodes, probably a safer match for Seth Rollins than somebody he hasn't worked with in the past, or a multi-person match. Totally makes sense to me. Working on a bum knee that we're all very aware of. I mean, Roman even made fun of the limp last night. I know that. But yeah, to me, I was fired up about it. I still am. It's The Rock and Roman Reigns. We were begging for it to be last year's main event for months before it became apparent that it was Cody and Roman. If anything, this one's a year late, because it would have made sense in Hollywood too. Easily.
It would have made more sense then, to be fair. Yeah.
It could have easily. But you got to strike while the iron's hot. And there's no iron hotter than Roman Reigns and The Rock on a marquee. I'm a huge combat sports fan. Ben, many know that watch the show, love boxing and MMA. I don't know if there's two bigger names you can put on a marquee than The Rock and Roman Reigns right now. Not in boxing and not in MMA. Because Conor McGregor can't fight Tyson Fury. That's not going to happen. That's about the next best you could do as far as viewership and eyeballs and everything like that. And we also have enough time. It's still February 3rd. We've got weeks to build this, and it will be built. And there's nobody better on the mic than The Rock, and he hasn't spoken yet since the day one promo. He didn't even talk last night. It was just a stare down. We're going to hear from The Rock, and we're going to get build. And I'm excited about it. It's the main event that I would have preferred personally.
I mean, that is fair enough. I want to quickly say two things based on what you said. Firstly, you mentioned, World Heavyweight title, some people are saying it's a consolation prize, whatever. Here's the thing about it. People are overreacting about what Roman Reigns said last week. Seth Rollins last week said that his title's bigger. Roman Reigns last night said his title's bigger because he beat everybody. Wait a second. No, he didn't, because he didn't beat Seth Rollins. That's all Seth Rollins needs to say on Raw this week, and that's sorted. Of course, when there's several world titles, you're going to say, same thing happens in boxing too, by the way. You're going to say that yours is the most important. This isn't anything earth-shattering. This happens in real life. Everybody's so just nitpicking about that. It really, really is. The fact of the matter is the Royal Rumble winner has picked the World Heavyweight Champion. So this does wonders. This is brilliant for the World Heavyweight title. Best thing that could have happened for it. It's not the best thing that could have happened for Cody Rhodes. That I will. I will have to agree with you on. The other thing is The Rock. People are forgetting that, you know, every year he's another year older. He's in great shape right now. I'm sure he'll be in great shape next year too. But every year the match will get worse, right? The quality will undoubtedly be a little bit worse. Every year, that's age, it happens. So we can't just keep pushing it back. We pushed it back last year. If we push it back again this Mania, it'll be all that. Yeah. But the issue is, I mean, the issue straight up is that Cody has just been absolutely screwed over.
I've almost never seen
some of these comments are absolutely ridiculous in this.
I've almost never seen anybody end up in a tougher position after a Rumble win. I can't really actually think about one except for maybe Batista, which I'm sure a lot of people remember, obviously, with the Daniel Bryan year and whatnot. But like, I don't know if anyone's ever Roman getting booed and having his arm held up by The Rock too. Those are the top three. But those were at the Rumble, right? This was a week. Everyone was excited to see Cody win the Rumble, or not everyone, but a lot of people were very excited to see Cody win the Rumble, and it's just rug out from under, right?
So, I mean, yeah, and I mean, TJ Hothead is being a bit of a hothead, and is saying that Roman Reigns buried the championship. He buried it at the World Heavyweight title. No, he didn't. No, he did not. This has always happened. I'm forgetting this has happened literally every year when they've had two titles in like WWE history. It happens in boxing all the time. I don't understand why this is such a big thing. It's happened every single year when they have two main titles. Also, Hot Dog Zombie 138 is saying we could have had this without the title. Here's the thing we couldn't have, because then they would have main evented WrestleMania without a title, and the titles would have looked weak if no title is bigger than Rock Reigns.
Why don't they just do the BMF title?
I mean, that's why that was created. That was created as an excuse, and it was just, Kobe saying, who's going to remember Roman Reigns promo in 6 months? I agree.
Me!
Matt Williams says... No, wait, you might, but guess what? You'll be watching anyway. Matt Williams says, is there any chance we get Roman versus The Rock versus Cody at Mania? No.
No, but it'd be
said
cool.
It's not happening. It would be, but Cody said it's not happening.
Yeah.
I would have preferred that, to be fair.
Makes sense to me.
Bobby goes, what if Cody picks Dragunov to wrestle for the NXT Championship? You know what, Bobby?
Now we're talking, Bobby.
I love it. I love it.
No. Actually, that's the match to make.
Oh, gosh. No, they haven't called Seth's belt a secondary title. The Royal Rumble winners just challenged him for it. How on earth has that made it a secondary title? Because yes, Roman Reigns claimed that, just like Seth Rollins claimed it the other way round. Roman Reigns also said something factually inaccurate when he said that. Because he didn't beat Roman Reigns. He didn't beat Seth Rollins. And guess what? He's never beat Seth Rollins. So Seth Rollins can just say that on Raw, and this is all done with. Okay? That's why Seth Rollins being the first World Heavyweight Champion in this new era of it made a lot of sense. That's why. Because he could be like, well, I'm the only person who faced Roman Reigns and didn't lose. And I was sick of him cheating to win. So I made my own title. It made sense. All right? It made sense.
Honestly, the one that doesn't make sense to me is that Cody's 3-0 against Seth. That's the only that's the one.
No, I like that. I love that. Because who's got the gold? Seth.
But Cody should feel more like the underdog. I feel like no matter what there, I would prefer. That's just
face versus face, isn't it?
If
so
I
don't mind that.
Nitpick too, by the way, right? If I'm nitpicking, that's like the one thing that bugs me.
Chris Leclerc saying he's only watching Bayley versus Io Sky at Mania. I mean,
that'd be a good match.
It'll be a great match, but I think
really hard to time though.
Major issues with that segment last night. We'll get into later. I actually hated it. But before we do,
what I like,
David,
part of it. I can't wait to talk about that later too.
I like Bayley's promo, but anyway, we'll get into that later. David, I want to hear your thoughts because I know you disagree with a lot of what I said.
I disagree with everything you've said, to be honest, aside from the Cody thing. Why do we watch wrestling? What is the point of watching wrestling? Like, this wasn't where I was going with this, but your comments have annoyed me, so I'm going to go there. Why, like, the why don't we just have Drake come out and do a 3-hour concert? Because that'll probably get more viewers in than a wrestling show will. So what's the point of having any wrestlers on the show? Why not just have it be, I don't know, we're going to get Joe Biden and Logan Paul to have a standoff? What's the, like, your comment about how everyone on the card should be thanking The Rock? Because
I didn't say they should be thanking The Rock. I said they should be thankful.
It's exactly the same thing. Anybody, like, they should be thankful for increased stock. Why toil? Why wrestle every week? What is the point if you're essentially told, yeah, it doesn't matter though, because look at this guy we built 30 years ago. Imagine if The Rock never got anywhere, because every year it was like, oh, we've got Bruno Sammartino. Let's bring Sammartino out for a match. Let's bring Hogan back every year for a match. What is the point? And like, this is not where I was going with this, because what I was right. Let me take it back a second. Let me just talk about the actual segment itself, right? Before I go nuts. This is a thesis I could write on this, and I will for the website. The segment itself, I think that both titles come out of this looking worse. Were they entirely buried? No. But do I think they come out looking worse? Yes, because on Monday, Seth said that Roman's title was a Hollywood title for part-timers. And by going, yeah, I can't actually be bothered to fight you now, proves him right. Roman today has said that, or last night, said that, Seth's title was a second-rate, B championship. Yes, they're in character, but just don't say it. So,
they've done it for years. This is nothing new.
No, they haven't. They
have. They've done every year since I've been watching wrestling. When they've had 2 world titles, they've done it.
You can say, right? And this is the thing: the world heavyweight championship needs to be treated with care, because it was created as a secondary title because Roman had the belt and they didn't want to take it off him, and they needed another world title, so they made another belt for Seth to win. You've got to be, when you do that, you have to be so careful that you don't put in the head of the viewer that it is the secondary title. Now, I grant you Cody is going for that belt, right? But he's going for that belt because CM Punk got injured. This was not the plan. And I don't need dirt sheets to tell me that. I can see it from watching the product that CM Punk was the plan. So Cody has been thrust into that because we have a spare Rock lying around. And all you had to do is say Roman's title to be, you can say, I actually liked Cody's promo. I liked the, Cody. If Cody had picked Roman, I'd have quite liked that segment. I wouldn't have liked what Roman said about Seth's belt, but I would have appreciated the way that Cody framed the promo, because I liked his delivery, and I liked the way that it was delivered. I liked the Seth is wrong. This is the belt that, Sammartino won. This is all that. That's really good. That then has to end with him saying, so I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. I agree with that. When he then turns around and says, sorry, I've spoken to somebody backstage who knows you very well, which is the equivalent of, Rock got in my ear backstage, so I'm just going to run away now. And we now have Rock versus Roman. I don't think Rock versus Roman will be bad. I don't think it'll be bad. I think it'll be a fine match. Be a totally fine match that Hogan versus Rock's one of my all-time favorite Mania matches because of the spectacle and pomp and circumstance. That's great. Fine. It's just, I think it just spits in the face of your viewers, because they know what we want. And they've gone, well, we'll just delay it more, and we'll delay it more. They're going to do it eventually. And I get frustrated when I hear this kind of, business is higher than, I don't care. I really don't care, as somebody who, I don't care how much money the corporates at WWE are making. I care about the product that I'm watching on my television screen. And the product I'm watching on my television screen made Cody look like an absolute moron. Absolute moron in this promo. And that on that we agree. I think, it just makes the concept of the Royal, I don't know, because he is going to, I suppose we don't know if he's going to go for Seth. We can assume he will. Yeah. But we don't know that he's going for Seth. There's this, none of the promo actually makes any lick of sense on any front. Cody's reasoning for not going for Roman makes no sense. None of it makes any sense. So from a narrative perspective, it's frustrating. And it in my opinion, it spits in the face of the viewer. From the perspective of business, I understand. I get it that Rock versus Roman is a big match. I don't get this notion that I don't get this. Why are wrestling fans complaining about this? I think it's very obvious why fans are complaining about it, because you've built a star over a year to deny them not once but twice now, and there reaches a point where the fans say no, and eventually this goodwill, no matter how many people you put on a marquee, there will be a times where a large portion of your fan base will say no. Will they still make money? Yes. Is that probably all they care about? Yes. Is that what I, as somebody who invests in a wrestling product, care about? No.
That is a very, very fair point. I actually agree with a lot more. I mean, in that opening speech I didn't talk about the segment last night that much. I agree with you. The segment was awful because of that. If Cody had just gone on to say, I'm challenging Roman, I would have said that's the best segment they've done with these two guys. It was absolutely
Although
phenomenal.
that then would have made Seth look like an idiot. So they're in a catch-22, really, aren't they?
That's true, that's true. But I would have overlooked it a little bit. But here's the thing where I do disagree with you. I do agree. If WWE just prioritize business, that's an issue. But prioritizing business and viewership are two slightly different things, right? Because if they prioritize, just business, the roster would be a lot smaller, all of that stuff. But if you're getting, bigger viewership, which is what you'll get for this, and this is what I mean about, being thankful for The Rock. Every star on that card is going to get a bit more over, right? Because of the fact there's more eyes on it. More people are going to know about them. And that's a fact. That is what's going to happen. It's going to come out saying it's the most watched WrestleMania of all time, right? It probably would have anyway, to be honest, but it'll have been even more so. And that's what I mean by it'll help them. I don't mean in terms of the literal TKO stock. I mean as in the stock of themselves as a wrestler.
I don't entirely disagree with you, and that's what is annoying me slightly. Yeah, I don't him being on the show will probably make more people view that. But is it worth sacrificing your actual product for it? Is it worth sacrificing the content that is actually produced on the show in order to get more people? Because if that's the case, you could literally just do a celebrity match in the main event of Mania every year, and it wouldn't matter. Do you know what I mean?
It's true, but there is a story here, right? Here's the thing. Well, who's been mugged off is Cody, right? And it's an insult to the hardcore Cody fans, I will agree. It's an insult to Cody, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
But there's still a story. The product isn't now going to be ignored. They're going to build up Roman versus Rock every week for the next,
they will. Well, Heyman will.
Yeah.
Heyman will be feuding with himself at this point. I said that.
Heyman and Cody will probably build it up for them.
My only thing is, and I know this is not indicative, and this has only come from what I've seen on social media with people who have plugins and things like that for YouTube.
Yeah.
The Rock and Roman Reigns' interaction is the most disliked video WWE have ever put on their YouTube channel. Is that just a sign that us as fans are frustrated? Possibly, or because so many people still watch the damn thing. And this is what's annoying. This is what's so grating, is that so many people watched it, and so many people will watch Rock and Roman, which proves you right and proves them right. But again, I think it just sacrifices the actual television. Because I've got no interest in tuning in every week to see a Rock versus Roman Reigns build when I feel like my viewership isn't being respected. When I feel like giving time to this. It's a bit like, when we had Daniel Bryan for so long being, well, actually, no, we know the fans love you, but we're not going to actually do anything with it because you'll tune in anyway. And they reached a point where I felt personally like I felt personally offended watching that product because I felt like WWE was spitting in my face. Here, I feel like WWE are slightly spitting in my face. I'll watch it every week because I'm part of the Wrestling Republic, but it's like, and that's the thing, but I've got no interest in it. So it's complicated, but it made me angry. It did make me really angry.
No, I felt angry watching it because I felt like Cody looks like an idiot now, whereas I feel like they built up that story really well. I wouldn't have complained in the slightest if Cody didn't main event WrestleMania. I wouldn't have, because as long as he didn't win the Rumble, as soon as he wins the Rumble, that's when all logic went out the window.
Puts the expectation in your head. If Rock, why didn't Rock just win the Rumble? I'm assuming because I don't think this was the plan. But if it was the plan, have Rock win the Rumble, If not, they've backed themselves almightily into a corner, not entirely within their, like, some of that is not in their control if Punk's injured. If that is what's thrown the spanner, then I get it.
Have we
But
considered
even
Punk
so,
might be a plant from AEW and he got injured just
Yeah.
to undercut The Rock and
I saw a
insert CM
meme.
Punk
I
into
saw
the
a meme
story.
shared by our very own Soul saying that the TK announcement on Wednesday is going to be him laughing uproariously for half an hour, and that, you know what? Do it, TK, do it for me, do it for me.
Oh, it's funny.
Oh, wow. We've had quite a few comments here. Let me have a look.
Absolutely.
It was disliked because Cody didn't pick who he wanted for me. No, it wasn't. It was disliked because everyone expected him to pick Roman.
The crowd, I should say, they did the little section afterwards. They did they went up, released on their YouTube channel the stuff after the show went off the air. There were some boos. It wasn't overwhelming. They weren't booing him out of the building like they did in Rumble 2015, but you could hear them. They were there. So
I mean,
this is not a university-like thing in the crowd. They were also chanting, "This is awesome."
Yeah, so it's like,
I mean, here's the thing.
Yeah,
The
total,
Daniel
like-
Bryan thing was different because the fans then hijacked the product. Do I think that's going to happen this time? No. Because I think a lot of people who aren't in the internet wrestling community, and even some people in our comments are saying, yeah, quite a lot of people are, that they prefer the idea of Rock versus Reigns. So, I mean, the crowd, the audience is so split. The people who are not split is the hardcore fans like us. I mean, Saul, what did you think about all of this?
Good God, this has been the best day of comedy in my life.
You're just watching some men just like watch the world burn. Is that you, Saul?
I'm one of those men indeed, absolutely, because this has been glorious. I mean, look. Look, right? Cody Rhodes is an absolute dafty. He's an absolute dafty. I mean, come on now. You said at Money in the Bank press conference here in London that your story, because someone asked, hey, Seth, would the story technically, not Seth, would Cody, would the story technically be finished if you went for the World Heavyweight Championship? You know, it has to be the title of my father, my dad. My dad won. It has to be that title. He's had that opportunity to honor his dad and finish the story, and he says, yeah, nah, Mr. Dwayne says I can't challenge for that belt. I can't challenge for the other belt. You've done it, you idiot. This is so dumb. It's so dumb. I mean, I'll say this as well, right? And this is the one that's going to be the hot take here. I feel like this Cody and Roman story is just a diet store brand off-market discount version of the Kenny Omega Handman story in AEW. The whole kind of long build to it, kind of like that chasing for it. And, you know, if they did it properly, because think about it, Hangman only won the tag titles before he actually got the big one. Cody's kind of done that similar thing with the tag titles with Jay. He should get the big one, not the discount second-rate belt that was introduced because of an absolute idiot who wouldn't turn up for work. Now, there are many things I don't like about the Cody Rhodes and Roman story, where it's up to now. I honestly, looking back, I don't mind the 39 loss now. I actually I'm fine with it and a fan with it because, as our own Clark and Anthony has mentioned, Rocky storyline. That's fine. If you have an original fall, the climb and rise to get to that conclusion will be better. It will be a very good story. But after it, we had the terrible Raw after WrestleMania, which went nowhere. We've had the whole Brock thing, which is now tainted with what's been speculated and alleged within the press. And then he had the really bad feud with Shinsuke, which I didn't like at all and thought was pointless. The tag title run with Jay, which went kind of nowhere. And now he's had a Rumble win that basically goes against his whole principles of why he's in the WWE to finish his father's legacy.
You're right. So, you are right.
So, yeah, I mean, Cody Rhodes running WWE so far, pretty dull, if I'll say so myself. I mean, man gets injured. Now he's facing a guy who he's beaten with a torn pec. And how can anyone be like, well, obviously Seth's going to win. or Cody's going to win now because he's 3-0. Like, no offense, if this main event's night one as well, that's another slap in the face as well. I swear to Lord Almighty above, that is Mr. Tony Khan himself. Peace and brother. If Cody Rhodes,
it's not going to main event night 2, is it?
What you honestly think Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship should main event over Bayley and Io?
No, sorry, I thought you were saying that it should main event night 2. And I was like, if Roman's going to main event. So I agree. Bayley Io should main event. I agree.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just so dumb because after that, where does Seth go? Does he now defend the belt that is now the second-rate belt and not the belt that, as far as legacy is worn? So he's wearing a fake legacy around his waist that he could drop the Priest or Dominic, or heck, even drop it to someone like Carmelo Hayes or Braun Breaker to actually have it means and go to something meaningful. And then what's he going to do? He's going to chase Roman for another year? Whoop-de-doo! Cool. I want to see that again, like I've seen for 2023 and 2024 and 2022 and all that jazz. Whoop-de-doo. But hey, you know what? I'll end on this because I am rambling. If you, internet wrestling community and WWE fans, are so annoyed and you don't want to watch the product and you want to boycott, vote with your views. AEW Dynamite.
No. When this is not an AEW advert, sorry. I will say this. I will say this, guys. I've got something to say again. I've just worked it out. I've just finished the story for Cody, right? I know what's going to happen. I've just realized it. This is how they're going to protect Cody, right? Cody is going to go into that match with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and Priest will cash in during the match and pin Seth Rollins and win the belt. Cody Rhodes will then eventually beat Roman Reigns in MSG, like Clark pitched last week, in early 2025, once they're on Netflix. That's what's going to happen. I mean, that
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean,
before we move on, I just want to say, Soul, you're right, though. And it's difficult because we are podcasters. This is what we do, these shows. The only way that WWE will be hurt if we feel they've made a mistake is to not watch the product. People will watch it anyway. That's that, and that is where Ben is right. And I watch all wrestling from all over the world. I think I'm into the website very soon. But there's I still watch the WWE shows because that's what we talk about on these podcasts, But this made me really not want to watch next week.
We've got a couple of comments I want to get in. I want to read some of these comments out because we've got so many comments coming in. Thank you guys. On Instagram especially. We got Coach 23 saying, why are we presuming he's going to pick Seth? He's not going to pick Dragunov, and he's already said he's not picking Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
Although, shout out
WrestleMania.
Friend of the show.
Absolutely shout out. But Coach 23 also said something else, which was quite interesting. That he's still pulling for Cody and MSG. Like Clark pitched, I agree. Makes perfect sense. It really does.
That's what I was hoping for personally.
But
why win the Rumble and point straight at Roman Reigns?
Now, so Hot Dog Zombie saying he's on SmackDown, Raw's going to USA. There's going to be a brand split some of it before then, and Raw's going to be the A brand once again. SmackDown's back in USA now. It's less a deal compared to Raw. It's going to switch back to what it was before SmackDown. Raw will be the A show. And yeah, Coach 23 is also saying a great point. Even people who hate WWE still watch WWE. Yep. Kobe saying not the cash-in prediction 2 months before Mania. I'm right on this one. I'm not a betting man. If I was, I'd actually bet on this one. Most of the time I'm joking about cash.
It's better than having Cody win it, because I think if Cody wins a world title and then wins another one, then people are going to go, well, he finished his story a few months before, didn't he? And then it's just going to annoy everybody. So I think that is the way out of it. It gives Priest a Mania moment, which is better than nothing. But it's not like this isn't the worst. This isn't so bad. This isn't the worst thing WWE have ever done. No. We had Hulk Hogan and Yokozuna. That was far worse. And you had, I'd say that them trying to spit in our faces with Brian was worse than this. But it's just, I thought we were better. I thought we were past this. I thought we were past this era type of booking. This feels very Vince, old. Kind of hot shot anything in there. I felt like we were past this, and that's what's frustrating, I think.
I'm just here for the memes.
Yeah. I think it's the change. I think it's also the late change that makes it so frustrating, right? Had it been calculated, there was a way to do this where everyone's fired up, right? Cody maybe gets robbed somehow in the Rumble, right? And I think it really all goes back to that, to your point, right? Because I would not have done this way, but the result is actually what personally a few months ago I would have wanted, because I think Cody really should do this at the Garden. That's such a special thing, and that arena is so special. That's why I said it the other day, right? There was a bunch of comments on that post about like, oh, I want Roman Reigns to beat Cody. No, it wasn't that. I thought it made more sense to put him in a position where he has to fight from underneath. So maybe even if he wins the world title for 30 seconds and gets robbed by Damian Priest, and the way he picks himself up off the floor could be the most babyface rallying Rocky thing you could ask for, picks himself up off the floor and goes, you know what? No, I'm done with this stuff. I'm going to finish this story, and I'm going to chase Roman Reigns with every single thing I've got. Every single thing. I'm going to be biting his heels. If he's at an airport, I will be walking in security behind him. If he's at pavilions, if he's at the grocery store, I will be shopping in line next to him, because I'm not going anywhere until I can catch this guy.
Yeah. But if he cares that much, why not just pick him? He's literally got a free choice. He can pick who he likes.
The thing as well that really annoyed me as well, right? The Royal Rumble winner walked to the back, was like pushed out the way. The person who won the Royal Rumble, one of the most esteemed pay-per-views, was like, here is your challenger, adios, and walked away like a little sad child who's been told.
He looked so sad. He shook the Rock's hand with that look of, you could just see it was just this kind of like puppy dog. Just
the
like,
look was,
Cody did a good job.
The kid on Halloween who comes on with his bag of candy, and his mom goes, listen, pick your favorite 6 pieces, but there's too much sugar in there. The rest of them we're going to have to give away. And then he's got to pick his favorite.
That's actually a
6
great
candies.
reference.
That's exactly the look he had on his face.
I want to go back to these comments for a second. Kobe saying Seth's story with Cody Rhodes has been going on longer than Cody's story. That's not actually true. Because Cody's story is Dusty's story, and it's, come on, that's not, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, Kobe. Also, so many people are saying, oh, The Rock's so egotistical. Oh, he went over, somebody's head, blah, blah, blah. You don't know that. What, the dirtiest dirt sheets are bed bugs? Their ankles are just swollen, ridden with these bed bug bites. They can't wash their sheets. They're telling you this. They don't have any good hygiene. Why would you listen to them? Right?
Surprise me, though. I think it's really bad timing that The Rock just joins the TKO board and immediately pushes the person they've built for 2 years out of the way so that he can main event Mania.
It could be
Whether that's what happened or not, I don't
decision.
know, but it's just terrible timing.
It could be Triple H's decision. It could be Mark Shapiro's decision. Who knows? All those guys are above Triple H.
Could be anyone.
I'm just here for the memes.
I love it. It is funny to me, though, because the fodder for discussion is the best part about this. And like now that we're in it, as much as like there are things to complain about, there's positives, there's negatives. Like talking it through is the most fun part of the entire story to me right now. Now, like, the amount of just fodder for all of us to discuss.
That's true. That is a lot to discuss, and because we've spoken about it for so long, we were going to talk more in depth about SmackDown. Instead, we're just going to talk about Bayley and that. Before we get on to that, I want to very quickly give a bit of a shout out to LP, Mr. Logan Paul, because that promo last night, very, very great heel work. Logan Paul's improving every single time we see him. It's exceptional. B-Fab is in the street business, whatever you want to call them now. That's interesting.
Wall Street profits.
Tiffany was great.
Yes, Tiffany was great. She really, really was. She had a great first showing on the main roster, and I think the future's very, very bright for her. I loved how they debuted her, trying to overshadow Naomi, fits her character perfectly, but something which I did not like. Something I did not like at all is how they treated this Bayley Damage CTRL situation, right? Because for weeks, Damage CTRL and Bayley, there's been a little bit of there's been some cracks there, but they haven't properly shown them at all, right? They've not, delved into it really at all. Then 5 minutes before this segment happened, they were laughing backstage and Bayley heard. They then come out, and then Bayley says, I know you guys aren't my friend, blah, blah, blah. She cuts a brilliant promo. The best promo I've heard her cut in a long, long time. Fantastic. And then they turned on her. It was very predictable. You could see them moving behind. She basically already turned on them before they turned on her, but she turned on them because of them, obviously. The segment itself wasn't awful. It wasn't. And Bayley's promo really was amazing. But my big issue with this story feels so rushed. It feels like we've done Game of Thrones here, where we've, for 5 seasons, we've built it up, really slowly, but well, it makes sense, all of this. We got to season whatever it was, and they were like, oh, whoops, we have 4 seasons worth of content, and 6 episodes to do it in. That's what this felt like. It really did. It feels like they've just thrown it all together. They rushed this turn, and I'm really disappointed by it. Bayley was great. That's the silver lining here. The crowd were rooting for Bayley, so that was what I was worried about. That worries out of my head. But they could have done this better. This deserved to be a bigger moment. And then just to overshadow this, on a show later in the night with The Rock, when you could have done this, easily could have done this next week, and you could have built it this week too. It would have been better then. This, like Saul said, like so many people are saying, this should main event night 1 of WrestleMania because it deserves it. It's had that long build. But based on this segment, I'm not sure if it will, and that actually maybe annoys me more than the Cody stuff. But David, what are your thoughts?
I don't entirely disagree with you, Ben, on this. I think that I really liked the segment. If I just I don't necessarily fully agree with the whole, predictable bit of them walking behind. That is true. Just didn't bother me because it's happening. Get on with it and get it done. I really liked. I thought Bayley was fantastic. I loved the bit where she started talking Japanese to them and they all went, "Oh dear," that's great. It's so well done. But I feel like there are pieces missing. I feel like there are genuinely 2 or 3 weeks extra, or a week or 2 extra would have done this nicely. Just to, because you had the whole thing about, oh, you're going to win the Rumble for us. Then they did win essentially did win the Rumble, which was great. Then they had kind of a celebration on Raw. And then this segment happened on Friday. Very rushed. Very rushed. They were very obviously, it's Triple H's booking. You can tell what he's trying to do. He's trying to do the Batista thing again. I was fully waiting for that to happen. Was fully waiting, and it never did. But maybe that would have been a bit too on the nose. But if you just put this exact same promo in 2 weeks' time, I would understand. I think it would be a lot better. The only thing I can think, and this was brought up to me by shout out AJ, close friend of mine, who brought this up today. It feels as though that they are. Because I imagine that we then need a challenger for Rhea. And I wonder if that is decided in a chamber or if that is decided at the chamber. So you want to build that match, but in order to build that match, you have to get Bayley and Io locked in.
Yeah.
That'll be why. So it might have been kind of pushed on a little bit because of that. I understand that completely. I agree with you that this segment was overshadowed by the Rock segment at the end of the show. Which this segment of Bayley and Io should have main evented a show. This should be the main event segment of a show because it's really good and Bayley is so good and Io is so good. I love the fit. We got this whole kind of where will Dakota lie? Great stuff. And Akira and Kyrie, and they're all great. This is a great story. But it's just a little bit rushed, quite rushed, and the payoff, and it all felt a little bit like, I wouldn't have done it on this show, but I understand why they did it, if that makes sense.
Well, I think the answer is that you should have, Bayley for a few weeks trying to announce she's going to challenge Rhea Ripley, and then something happens and she's not able to make a decision, like the Nia Jax thing on Raw. You do that you do it again on SmackDown last night, maybe again on Monday. That's it. So you do it 2 more times. Then, on Monday, after that, Adam Pearce is like, I've had enough. Calls up Nick Aldis, or Nick Aldis walks in or whatever. And they say, hey, 3 women from SmackDown, 3 women from Raw, in an elimination chamber. The winner faces whoever Bayley doesn't face. I think that would have solved it. And then you'd have a few weeks extra to build the story. And not make it feel so sudden.
Yeah, I don't think it feels horrifically sudden. There have been cracks. It's not like this has come completely out of thin air.
No, it's not out of nowhere, but it's just.
Do you know what I would have done with this? In these promos that they've been having, lots of the backstage promos over the last 2 weeks, just have little segments. Once Bayley leaves the room, have the Asuka say something in Japanese. We don't know what it is. We can Google and get the audience kind of Google kind of translating it for us. so that we, like they did with the Nakamura promos initially when they would translate them and get the audience to go, oh, that's what they're saying. And then when Bayley cottons on, that's the moment of, we don't need to know what they're saying on screen. We just need to know that, because that's then when it can be revealed that Bayley knows what they were saying. And that's all that, but just not really referencing it. That's why it feels so sudden, I think.
I mean, we got Carlos BA saying Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns should main event night 1, and then night 2 will be.
It's over. The dream's dead.
What happens if Roman Reigns gets injured night 1? This is like
or The Rock.
Fans don't realize.
Everyone gets hurt. What if anyone?
If Roman Reigns gets hurt night 1, your marquee match is done for. WrestleMania's ruined. Like that. That's the
booking
reality
day of too. Like, yeah, you can't.
Yeah,
there's no
it's
like
more rust than this.
Yeah, like I mean, think about like I'm laughing because UFC 300's coming up, right? And you go back and look at the UFC 200 card. It was supposed to be main evented by John Jones and Daniel Cormier. John Jones had too fun of a weekend and popped on a drug test, and then next thing you know, it's not main evented anymore. It's Amanda Nunes, which is amazing to me in combat sports history. That's one of the coolest things we've seen, actually, that Amanda Nunes got to main event UFC 200. But day of stuff, we brought in Anderson Silva to fight at 205 pounds up a weight class against the number 1 contender Daniel Cormier, and it was in the co-main event, it was a slaughter. It was right. Yeah. Obviously it's professional wrestling, so you can book the match to be more competitive than that, but the late replacement option does not work often.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. I mean, Saul, I want to get your thoughts on this damage control segment. Was the damage controlled, or was this just too fast?
I think this particular point was rushed, but I don't think the overall story has been rushed. If you look at, I want to say, was it SummerSlam 2021 that they all came back?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, from that point
2022.
2022, right. So 2022, Bayley, Dakota, and Io all made their debut. Habit of action, they were fun. Io and Dakota won the tag titles, and Bayley was always seen as the top dog trying to get the top gold. Then things shifted. It shifted when Io won the Money in the Bank, and she won the top dog prize. And they were all happy for it because they were a friendship group. But then when Kairi Sane made her return, I feel like Kairi is going to be the real villain of this story. And what I mean by that is this. With Kairi in it, we've seen a more sinister side. I feel like they're corrupting Io. Because Io used to, like, if you've seen like on like the posts of like when Io won their title, like they're all giddy and they're all friends and high five, and when Kairi came in, she's like the viper in the pit that has just emerged and struck this, friendship group and injected venom into it, including Asuka into that as well. That's going to be solid and starring to see. So I honestly think with this is this. Bayley wins the title at WrestleMania. Io becomes more of a darker character, and we have a new Damage Control. Maybe keep it the same name or maybe change up in some way, which is Kairi, Asuka, and Io. Then goes on to feud, because you could easily do a couple of good months of stories out of this, with Bayley and Dakota Kai. Now, the main question there is, you need a third into that for a 3-on-3 matchup. And the one I've been thinking of that I feel like would be a great addition into this group, and someone who I think needs to get elevated a bit more, I would put Tiffany Stratton in this.
Wow.
So,
but as a baby face, though, she's the natural heel, as natural as you could get with a heel.
So what you do is have Tiffany do her old thing on SmackDown, right? Does some segments and some matches, and then she tries to one up and be like, I'm the real top one. And then Io, Asuka, and Kairi are like, oh, you're the plaything bad guy. You're like the bad guy in the B movies and the kiddie movies, while we are the true elite heels, the nasty ones, the ones that you see in R-rated films that just have no censor and no hold back. Completely annihilate her, break her down, have like maybe even like a she comes out like the whole Barbie sort of thing, maybe like have like a whole tearing of like that being just completely eviscerated.
You don't kill a god gimmick a couple of months in.
Yeah, but I mean NXT is used to that with all their call-ups, so it'd just be tradition at that point. So you would just continue on there. and you never know. Tradition, Allison. That's what we've been talking about this whole episode. Tradition. I mean, I've seen people in the comments there say Naomi, but
yeah,
I feel like
Naomi makes sense.
I don't know though. I feel like Naomi's not someone who needs this. Doesn't need a storyline of this caliber. I would have her go again. Honestly, I don't like Naomi's on SmackDown. I would have her on Raw against Rhea because I feel like that would have been
Roxanne
more
Perez.
entertaining.
I said Tegan Knox the other day.
Roxanne Perez is an interesting one.
Here's the thing about that. I'll say this is no fault. It's no fault of them. It's the fault of the booking. Tegan Knox, Candice LeRae, and women who have just been at that booking level. I honestly think they're female crosses. They're not going to get out of the slump.
I just think because of Tegan's history with Dakota, if you were ever going to revive a character, to have Bayley be the one to kind of relink them up might be a logical spot, and you can really go long-term storytelling and make up for some misses we've had lately. On that. Yeah. I mean, Tegan and Dakota makes logical sense.
I mean, hey, if that works,
I absolutely do agree.
That's great, but I just, from my personal viewpoint of what I've seen, I don't know if they can recover from the slump of booking that they've been in for the last month and a bit.
I just think it's harder to make the connection between Tiff. Sorry, go ahead, David.
I was going to say, I love the idea. I think it's a really good idea, particularly Dakota aligning with Bayley when it looks like she's going to turn on her. But I think that there's another NXT name that would fit that slightly better than
for sure.
Yeah,
that's totally
fair. That is a fair point indeed. But what about you, Clark? How do you feel? Is the damage controlled?
I mean, dude, I've been waiting on this. Speaking of things I've been waiting on forever, yes, it's about to be. Did you see that steel pipe? This is Bayley, and we've got BA.
Foreshadowing.
This isn't the hugger Bayley, and this isn't Bayley Dose Straps. This is angry, motivated, and been talked behind her back Bayley. Loved the segment speaking Japanese. I thought it was awesome. I understand the complaints about it being rushed, but there was enough storytelling in that segment with Bayley explaining and then speaking Japanese for me to get there. I'm ready to go. What I'm more interested in is what we do next week to nudge this a little further. Does Bayley get attacked, or does Bayley go after Damage Control? And who's going to control the damage? Bayley or Damage Control? I actually like the brilliance of that. Next week, lean into it. Let's get cliche for a minute. Why not? And if Bayley's carrying that steel pipe around, it's the ultimate equalizer. Until she needs the numbers, then we introduce Dakota and whoever the third is, whether it's Naomi, Tiffany, or Tegan Knox, or Roxanne, another name we didn't mention. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I have been disappointed by the Damage Control narrative almost until the last few months, until the cracks started to form, until I was ready for, okay, Bayley should be and will be a face now, a baby face, but not a corny one, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to see any wailing, inflatable, arm flailing tube men in the entrance. We're not going to see any of that, but we're going to see Bayley fully motivated. And speaking of finishing stories, talking about one of the best, one of the four horsewomen, one of the best in the game for all of these years. She's accomplished a ton. Those straps, obviously, two belts at once is always a great look. But this is going to be a big moment for her, I think, winning this title off of Io Sky, and it's deserved, especially at WrestleMania, because what we don't remember all the time is she's been injured for a lot of big manias that she should have been in a marquee matchup in. And Bayley's earned this. So speaking of finishing stories, Bayley's going to finish that one at WrestleMania in a title match. And that I'm all for.
Yeah, absolutely. I really do hope you're right there, Clark, because there is a story. But we need to wrap up on this note before Instagram kicks us off the platform at 59:30. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, please like, subscribe on YouTube, 5-star on Spotify, all that good stuff, and all the platforms. We're here every day for you guys, 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. Thank you to Clark, thank you to David, and thank you to Saul for joining me today. It's been a fun one, and thank you guys for all the comments. We will see you tomorrow. Peace!